Oh, good morning. Here we are, the first few days of August. I'll be 63 the 20th, be the Lord's will. Seen a thing or two, learned a thing or two. Basically, what I've really learned that's been a benefit to me personally is just learn things from God. Just learning that the essence, the very spirit, the very elements of right and wrong, God placed in the earth during creation when He spoke creation into existence. That's, the earth actually functions through that knowledge. The earth, well, not the earth, but the earth, the universe, the Milky Way, the whole scenario functions with that knowledge. Things went nuts when Adam and Eve disobeyed. Things started going nuts right off the bat. Man, they lost a son. Evil had made its decision. It tried to shuck and jive God and give Cain an excuse for his murderous thoughts and his intentions. The same thing's going on today. This thing in this another shooting in America. What is it? 20 dead, 26 injured. Was it El Paso? Was that where it was? Texas was down in Texas. You got people crying about guns. Cain never had a gun. He never had a gun. All he had was that evil going on inside his mind and in his heart. He got jealous and envious of his brother because his brother was doing better and found favor in God. And the very same thing is going on today. Satan feeds the thoughts of people. Their mind runs rampant. That thought gets down in their heart. Their heart begins an envious, jealous hatred. And then it goes wrong. But he's given an excuse. In Cain's mind, he had an excuse. His hatred had driven him to a place. He had an excuse. It wasn't right. It wasn't moral. It wasn't just. It wasn't honorable. There wasn't anything about it kosher. But yet in his mind he had an excuse. Do you realize today these murderers have an excuse through liberal socialist thinking because they reject God also? They build. Listen, liberal thinking builds the scenario that is planted and grown in the minds of these mass murderers. Do you realize that? That fella down there, he was no different than Hitler. He wasn't any different. Hitler just had more people working for him. Same thing. Same thing's going on in the streets of Chicago. If a man just up and he robs somebody and just shoots him and kills him just so he can get $17 out of their pocket, that's the same thing. It's murder. It's the same thing. Same devil. Same intentions. Same excuse in their mind that bleeds down into their heart and builds up a hatred and resistance to a conscience and a godly moral essence. Same thing. Same thing. Then you got these liberals. Hey, We don't need God. We don't need that stuff like that. We took it out of the schools in 62. We no longer need stuff like that. Well, the mess ain't going to stop until you just go ahead and draw God right back into the hearts and minds of your kids. Put him back in there. You're not going to stop this friggin' garbage. There's people down there broken heart. Listen, there's people down there with broken hearts in Texas today. Because you removed God from the schools in 1962. Like it or not, baby, that lays in your lap. Like it or not, it lays in your lap. You reject God, you better buy you some tissue and buy you a lot of them. You better order them by the truckloads. That's just the way it is. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but let's see your opinion change it. Oh, you can put some pervert in Congress that sees things basically the way you do, and they can pass laws to do all this stuff, but let's see you change the scenario. Let's see you change the circumstance. Let's see you change the outcome. You'll get 40 years down the road and the outcome's worse than it ever was, and then you want to blame somebody else. That's what you do. That is what the left does. It does not respect life. It does not respect the boundaries of right and wrong. And then it blames somebody else when it goes wrong. Not only do they not want to respect it, they don't want innocent people protecting themselves. That's a fact, people. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. That's the reality, baby. That's where the rubber meets the road. Make every excuse in the world for the filth and the garbage going through people's minds. Hollywood does it all the time. The entertainment world does it all the time. They'll make every excuse, and they'll plant this rot in people's minds. They'll plant this rot in people's minds, and then when it goes wrong, oh, that's that damn dog gun's fault. And then they want to show the world how intelligent they are. Yeah. It's pitiful. The world is overpopulated because of that garbage. When I was growing up, I've talked about it before, when I was growing up, they said there was 4.5 billion people in the world. Today, there's over 6 billion. Only 40 years later. 45 maybe years later, 50, whatever. And there's over 6 billion people in the world. And whether you realize, listen, these perverts in governments and scientists and everything else, they're chewing on ways to thin the population. You don't think so? You better pull your head out of your butt. They're chewing on ways to thin the population. Why do you think these friggin' liberals and socialists are so keen on abortion plumb up unto birth? Because the perverts are running scared. They're running scared. Oh, the people on the street, they might not realize they're just getting rid of the little bastard, the little blob, the little inconvenience. They're just getting rid of the little problem that popped up. But the elites, they're running scared. They're looking at a scenario that's gotten out of hand. And they're looking for any excuse they can get. They're looking at any excuse they can get to get rid of it. Try to change the scenario. We're running out of water. We're running out of air. We're running out of this. We're running out of that. The world's heating up. Everything in the world's going wrong. We got to stop it. That's where the elites are. That's where they are, people. We got to stop it. Listen. The BS of their minds that bled into their hearts and crusted their conscience, that it no longer functions properly. That same BS is what's making laws. You got perverts that no longer know the difference between right and wrong, wanting to make laws. You better let that sink in, son. You best let that sink in, because your families and your bloodlines are going to have to live with that. They will listen. Donald Trump is the monkey wrench in the gears of the elitists that planned on setting this stuff up. He's the monkey wrench in the gears to stop this Hitler rage going on in the minds of these elites. He's the monkey wrench. God put him in there for a purpose at this time. He was put in by God for a purpose at this time. Why do you think they're wanting everything in the world is wanting to get rid of him? China wants rid of him, North Korea wants rid of him, Iran wants rid of him, Russia wants rid of him, and these others want rid of him. And then you got the same type perverts in Congress, in the U.S. Congress, wanting rid of him. You got him in these liberal socialist states that their own cities are a hellhole. They want rid of him. They're running scared, people. They're running scared. Listen, here about 5 months ago, I think about 4, 5, 6 months ago, a bunch of Democrat congressmen, or Democrats, liberals and so, let's say that, liberals and socialists, okay? I hate to bust your little political bubble and call them all Democrats, because they some Republicans the same, got their head up per each other's butt just like they have. But they took off to Cuba. There was a vote, something took place, and they lost something. They took off to Cuba. All they was going down to get some rays or whatever, you know. And what they done, they got down there and they got behind closed doors and they began to scheming and plotting. How can we deal with this? This is, it might have been the Mueller thing that was handed down, or maybe it was before that, something else. I don't remember now. Yeah, that's me. But something didn't go right for them. I'll put it that way. They take off to Cuba, down there to sit on the beach and lay on the beach and garner or gather some rays and maybe get some tone to their skin. Well, at least that was more or less what was looked to be. But what is, they was several of them went. What did they do? They got down there and they got behind closed doors. They ran off to a socialist country. They got behind closed doors and they got their heads together. They started rubbing their heads together. They started plotting. They started scheming. People, they started a lie to get rid of Trump, and the lie fell through. They were scheming and plotting, trying to figure out how they could keep this lie alive. Everybody knows it's a lie now, but you still got these little socialist butt-licking idiots that keep that are walking the streets, the everyday peon Joes still walking the streets. They're licking the butts of these liars and socialists and liberals and everything up there in Washington D.C. and these socialist-driven cities and this stuff. They're licking the butts of these people, and that lets that lie stay alive. The Democrats still want to scream, "Oh, we're investigating, we're investigating." They don't have a choice, people. They're in trouble. The day their investigation stops, the DOJ will break forth, and if honor is strong enough. In Barr and others, the DOJ will break forth, and justice is going to slam a hammer right on the top, the very tip top of these friggin' liberal and socialist heads. They've cheated this nation for years. They've cheated this nation and its people for years. But, like I said, as long as you got these little butt lickers running the street that feed this stuff. Now listen, Isaiah 32, 5-8, verse 8 tells you straightforward. The liberal stays in power or in his strength or standing because the people that scratch his back and he scratches their back, he gives the excuse to the pervert on the street, and then the pervert on the street licks his butt, and it's just a circle. back and forth. They strengthen one another. They strengthen one another. That's the only way this garbage is staying alive now. It's pitiful, people. It really is. It's pitiful what's going on right now. This godless, immoral rot, man, that just progresses on and on and on and on. It's little by little, it's losing ground, but people were paying out our butts dealing with it. Do you realize that this rot, ever since Trump got into office, and listen, even before he got in, Obama and his bunch of crony, crooked, pervert politicians, these liberals and socialists, they set up a plan. They set up a plan to discredit Donald John Trump and keep him from the presidency. They lied through their friggin' teeth to stop him. Thank God the majority of the American people seen through it. They'd seen 8 years of treachery through the Obama Clinton era. And now Joe Biden, he's up there with enough friggin' gall and nerve to say, oh, they wasn't a smidgen of corruption in our administration. Wasn't nothing like that. Oh, we was straight up forward. We were out front. We were transparent. We were all this and we were all that. He was part of the friggin' problem. His own son. He was 2 trips that he made. I think 2 trips on Air Force Two that, he had a jet to fly around in some. And his son worked for a company, and he would go on one of his trips, and his son would go with him. Well, just happened to be that his company that he worked for was going to do a business deal or something. But they'd come back with $1.5 billion deal with another country. Wasn't a bit of smidgen of corruption. And it goes on and on. And people, there's the skeletons that are coming out of the closets of these liberals and socialists is unreal. It's unreal. But back to where I was. People, as long as you put people in office that are crooked, that lie, cheat, and steal, and kill, the mess that we're dealing with on the border, in our cities, these radical shootings and stuff, as long as you have people up there that reject the knowledge of God, they reject the knowledge of right and wrong, they reject the moral conscience, and they make excuses with each other and for each other. As long as that is going on, you will not solve the problems that we have. Listen, life is full of problems. Job talked about it. He said, listen, man, we're going to be dealing with it. Every man born of a woman, he's going to deal with it. It's going to be part of his life. But the problem today, we make excuses for the actions and the thinking and the words that's creating more problems. We add problems to our life. We've made excuses for the whoring woman. And now she's got 17 kids and on a check. We make excuses for the whoring man. He's got 14 kids and by different women. We make excuses for transgenders. And now look, these transgender men, they're not dominating the women's sports arena and stuff. Nothing but butt-headed excuses is causing this stuff. Butt-head excuses made by liberals and socialists, creating every bit of this. Every bit of it, people. Listen, you're gonna live. You're gonna have sickness and disease. You're gonna deal. One of these days, you're gonna die. All kinds of stuff is gonna go on. But we're doing stupid stuff that's adding to it. But it's Donald John Trump's fault. It's John Davis's fault. It's Raven Kennedy's fault. It's TBN's fault. It's Daystar's fault. It's Tea Party's fault. It's Ben Carlson's fault. It's John McCain's fault. It's Alan West's fault. It's Fox News' fault. It's pitiful. The things that are coming off of these people's minds, man. It's unreal. It's unreal that's coming out of these, what's coming out of these hearts and minds of these people, and man, it's dripping off their lips like flame or snot dripping down their nose and off their lips. And it's common for them now. It's common for some of these liberal medias, man. I mean, they got this mess dripping off their lips and down their chin and off the end of their nose, and it's pitiful, and it's the norm. It's the norm for them now. And these terrorist groups, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all this friggin' hate and rot that was sown into people's minds by Obama and his administration and the liberals and socialists and these medias and Hollywood and all that, making every damnable excuse you can imagine, giving these black people the thoughts that they could go down the street and destroy everything they see. Giving Antifa the thought that they can go down the street and kill and destroy and beat and mutilate everything they see. It's the same rot that they claim that, the conservatives are KKK and deplorable and everything else. Hey, listen, the KKK wasn't conservative. They were as big a lie as Hitler was. They wasn't conservative. They's devil-filled people. They were devil-filled people. Just like Hitler, just like Antifa, just like Black Lives Matter, just like the NAACP, just like the New York Times and Washington Post. These people, this devil-filled people, man. All kinds of friggin' rot. It's like the same stuff. It's the same stuff. It comes from the same source. It comes from the same source. Listen, people, you reject God, you ain't got but one other thing you to absorb. You reject the truth and honor of God, you ain't got but one thing, and that's the lie and the disgrace of the devil. That's you're going to absorb one source or the other. You're going to absorb one source or the other. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. You might reject God and reject the devil at the same time and try to stay neutral, but you won't be able to stay neutral. Listen, God said, I am the God of that visits the iniquities of the fathers upon the children in third and fourth generation. It means things that were wrong, that were not upright with absorbing from God, the things that were not absorbed from God will eventually grow into the point that the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren would suffer the consequences. You're going to draw from one source or the other. Now, I like drawing from God, because when you draw from God, you don't have to back up, man. You don't have to back up and say, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. You don't have to back up and say this or that. They may curse you and kill you and burn your body and everything else, but that won't make you wrong. Because if you draw from the truth and honor of God, you will be in upright standing. You will be right. They will be wrong. They may be big enough liar and pervert to kill you and burn your body, but it won't make them right. It will just prove you're standing in Christ. It'll prove you And it also proves what you said about the other side. But see, it falls right back to the point. See, their conscience is crushed. They don't care. These people out there don't care. They'll kill you just because you're decent and they're not. That's what's going on with these gunmen. That's what's going on with it, like down there in El Paso, or I think it's El Paso. The Walmart, the shooting. Why did he go in there and shoot innocent people? Why in the friggin' world did he do that? They was kids there. They decent people there. They might have been godly, moral, honorable people there. Why did he go in there and shoot them people? Why did he do that? It wasn't them. The problem was in him. It wasn't the gun. The problem was him. The gun didn't do it. They done it. He done it. But yet you listen to these perverts. Oh, that awful old gun. That awful old gun. We got to get rid of every doggone one up in the world. The world is at war. The world is at war. And we got to get rid of all those instruments of evil. And then they'll turn around and they find out the murder won't be stopped and the mutilations. And they'll say, well, we got to get rid of the hatchets and the axes. All the knives are bad. Oh, what about the hammers? What about the sticks and the poles, the ball bats? What about that old hickory limb out there hanging in that tree? There'll always be another excuse, people, because they reject God. They reject the knowledge of right and wrong. They reject the moral conscience. And then when it goes bad, they go spewing out their snot. This old drool, dribbly, rot, pitiful looking stuff comes rolling out of their mouth. Well, you reject God, that's what you got left. That's all you got left, people. That's all you got left. You're either going to accept God or let him lead, or you're going to fall for the devil and let him lead. That's all you got. There ain't no in-betweens. Oh, I don't believe in that old spiritual stuff. I don't believe in that old junk. I don't know. You're an idiot, Jack. It's alive whether you like it or not. It's here. It's here. Suck it up, baby. It's here. And it has its way in people's lives. The Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against the influences. It says in other words, I'm just kind of paraphrasing it. It says we wrestle against wickedness in high places. We wrestle against the influences that play people's minds. You know, well, let's just a little example. Say you're sitting watching TV. Just a little bit of entertainment. You're sitting there and all of a sudden something pops into your mind and you start feeling a little upset. And the more you chew on it, you get ill. And before you know it, you got to get up. You can't sit and watch TV because this thing is took control of your mind. It took control of your thinking. But you won't turn loose of it. You won't push it out. And before you know it, you're engulfed in this thing, and it's a hard, hateful thing, and you're engulfed in it. That's just an illustration. And we've all been down that road, you know. We've all been there. It might be anger and hatred. It might be sexual sensations. It might in thinking. It might be it might be something in greed. Well, I can slight this person and garner something from them. Oh, and it might not be right, but it's okay. You know, it's different things. You know, we have to make up our we have to make up our mind, people, what we're going to serve. who we're going to serve, what is going to control our thoughts, what is going to lead our hearts and our intentions. You know, people say, well, follow your heart. Yeah, you can't go wrong. Heart won't lie to you. You're an idiot. You are an idiot. The heart has been lied to many times, and when the heart is lied to, the heart can also mislead. The heart has to have a path. It has to have an honorable, truthful, just path to follow. Without that knowledge, without that understanding in here, and it leading the intents and the loves and the compassions of the heart will mislead you. It will lead you into places that will screw you. Sorry, hate to bust your bubble. But like I say, it's twist of world news. We believe in where the rubber meets the road. I don't believe in this other stuff. You know, the things of the Bible promises things. It promises heaven. It promises the hereafter. It promises the glory and the rapture, the joy of the hereafter with Christ. But you got to get the rubber with the road right first here. It's got to happen here. You know, the prayer, Psalms 23, so as it is in heaven, let it be here with us on the earth. Rubber meets the road. The only way you're going to get heaven here on earth is to think like heaven. You can't think like hell and get it. It ain't going to happen. But you got Hollywood and country and rock and classical. You got everything in the world out there pushing all this friggin' rot. Then you got these politicians that's got on board with the rot. You got these organizations that's got on board with the rot. You've got this educational system for years had been on board with the rot. You got all this friggin' poop going on in these people's minds, and now you got millions of people out here on the streets running around screaming that don't even know the friggin' difference between right and wrong. And you can't figure out why things are the way they are. You can't figure out why Congress is a friggin' poop hole. Congress today, they just, so help me. You know, like I've told it before. You know, you pull the police and the church and those that cling to the knowledge of right and wrong and a moral conscience, pull them out of D.C. and nuke the friggin' place. Get rid of it. If another country nukes it, hope they got good aim and they know where to hit first. Give us a chance to start over and build back a moral conscience and a just operation, a just functioning government. Not a fair government, but a just government. You can holler fair without right and wrong. Fair is not actually fair. It's a lie. Without the knowledge of right and wrong, fair is a cheat. You cannot give fair to people that do not respect the word fair. You cannot give rights to people that do not respect the rights of others. That is a lie. That is a cheat. That is an absurdity. Absurdity. But see, that's what liberals and socialists do. They don't believe in right and wrong. They don't believe in this. They don't believe in that. They want to give every damn little thing in the world the right of way to look, smell, act, walk, and talk any way they want. And then when it goes wrong, oh, it's the gun's fault. It's that truthful person's fault. It's a conservative's fault. It's a deplorable's fault. It's this, it's that. But they won't accept their own responsibility that they fed the poop. They fed the sewer. They fed the sewer. You know, why do you pay a county or a state fees every month to give you water and if you have a sewage plant and to get rid of your garbage and all this stuff because you've got a part in it. You want to poop in your commode and flush it? You're part of the sewage plant. You're part of the sewage situation. You got to help take care of it. That's only fair. It's fair when you uphold your end honorably. That is fair. But see, you got people that don't want to uphold their end honorably. They want to get by with anything and everything they can. Let somebody else cover it. Liberalism and socialism is pushing that theory all the time. They're doing it all the time. It's the norm. I told you, it's the norm for them. They make excuses for the garbage going on instead of expecting everybody that contributes to it to hold up their end. They make excuses. You know, that's what liberal means, people. Liberal is an excuse, an exclusive thinking that just swings the door open and lets all kinds of things and avenues and ways and thinking and talking and actions, turns them loose and says, you have the perfect right to just go in and do your hell. That's what liberal is. Liberalism carries the seed of chaos and anarchy. You cannot turn people with evil, wicked intentions, stealing, robbing, lying, cheating, murdering, raping. You cannot give them rights along with the rights of the innocent, the honest, the upright, and the just, the moral, the godly. You can't give a wicked person the same rights you give to the honest, to the righteous. If you do, you're going to kill your innocent. You will murder your innocent, and you will turn loose the chaos and anarchy that you created. Like I said, this is where the rubber meets the road. This ain't politics, people. This is not this and that. This is not all this garbage that these professors and everything else. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the rubber meets the Twist of World News. Rubber meeting the road. I did that line. That sounds all right. And that's what liberals and socialists want to do. They want to swing the gates or the doors open and say, just turn it loose. Hey, let's all have a big old time. We can do it. Hey, we're humans. We're people of the earth. We're the great melting pot of the world. I'm sorry, man. It's the thinking of idiotic perverts. That's what it is. That's what it is. People in Texas crying today. Broken hearts. All because some friggin' pervert got his hands on something useful and turned it into something evil. But then those that fed the rot into his mind want to stand back and twiddle their thumbs and blame everybody else. They want to sit back, twiddle their thumbs, blame everybody else for what went wrong. Oh, those are deplorables. Those conservatives, those Republicans, those people out there that back Donald Trump, they're the ones that caused all this. That person that shot them was no different than Hitler. You're going to love this one. You realize that those people doing that stuff, they think more like you, the liberal and the socialist. They think more like you than they do me, or Don, or the pastor up the road. They think like you. You know, I get mad. I get angry sometimes. But you know what I don't do, or I never want to do? I never want to grab my gun and go down here in a little community store and go and just start shooting people, or over to high school and shoot people. I don't want to do that because that's wrong, man. That's stupid. That's butt-licking stupid. That's Hitler thinking. That's Stalin thinking. That's Brezhnev thinking. That's the kind of stuff that God is going to judge and say, you don't pull that crap on me and my people. Listen, see, those people reject God. Just like some of you reject God. Those people think like you, whether you realize it or not. They are tomorrow's population. If left in your mind and your thinking and your intentions, they are your population. That's what you're going to have left. That is what you will have left. You will have that friggin' pervert with a gun or a knife or a ball bat or a hatchet or an oak limb or a rock or something other. They'll find some way, people. They'll find some way because it's in their minds. Guns are not the problem. Ball bats not the problem. Knives not the problem. Listen, I got knives. I got guns. I got axes. I've got hammers. You know, I don't see them out there doing this stuff. Why? Because they're not capable. And I'm not willing. That's done by people that are willing. I thank God that I'm not willing. I don't want those people's blood on my hands. I don't want to wake up tomorrow and realize that I've broken the hearts of people, that I've destroyed the lives of families and stuff. I give God credit for that I've got a little bit of sense about me. Hey, I don't credit John Davis. John Davis not real smart. But John Davis with God taking place, hey, it's a different story, man. And it's that way with any Christian. If they'll cry out for God to wash them with the blood of Jesus Christ, man, and God, you put in my heart and my mind what you know, not what everybody else thinks, but what you know. They're not your problem, man. But see, you're willing to run over them to have your way, to have your thinking. You are willing to run over them. Old Testament Bible, David said, the wicked plot behind closed doors to capture my soul. The wicked are out there looking for a way to take advantage of me. The wicked are out there wanting a way to cheat me, to steal from me, to kill me. The wicked, the evil thinker is out there looking for a way to do me wrong, to get what I have, or just to put me down. Donald Trump, I've seen nothing out of him. I mean, those things that I disagreed with him on. But I've seen nothing out of him that give these people in Congress and in New York Times and these liberal cities, socialist thinkers, I've seen nothing out of him for them to attack him rightfully, to rightfully think they can attack him the way they are. Their attacking is illegitimate, man. It's senseless. It's brainless. It's brainless. It's not normal. It's not normal. It's pitiful. But like I said, for them And those that think and act, look, smell, and act, walk, and talk, it is the norm because that is what lives in them. The chaos and the anarchy has been sown into them, and that is the norm for them. People under them, tomorrow will be a hellhole. Tomorrow will be a hellhole. Venezuela's going through it. North Korea's going through it. Iran's going through it. Russia's been going through it. And country after country after country is going through it. But why? Because they reject the knowledge of right and wrong. They reject an actual, honorable, working conscience. And they receive and act upon the things that are deceptive themselves. They are cheating thinking. They are cheating ideas. Well, hey, I'm on back off. We need Donald Trump in 2020, and if he doesn't change his directions, his intentions, hey, I'm serious. I wouldn't, if he stays on course, I wouldn't mind for him to continue on. I'm serious. I'm serious, because what's going on now is pitiful. It's pitiful. This judge ruled that a federal judge ruled. I read somebody there this morning put a post on Facebook or in one of my emails. Said a federal judge ruled that these illegals could continue sidestepping the wall. They can continue sidestepping the ports of entry and asking for asylum. You think of that. You think of that. And they can continue doing this. That's, the drugs, most of the drugs, I'd say, are coming around the ends of the wall, the gaps in the wall. Most of the murderous perverts that are coming from and these terrorists and stuff coming around the gaps of the wall, not going through the ports of entry. But yet you got a screwball appointed by Obama says they don't have to come through the ports of entry. You think of that. You think of that friggin' man. Those people, the people in those friggin' towns need to shoot them. They need to get rid of them judges like that. They just, so help me. It's pitiful stuff like that go on. It is literally pitiful. It is literally pitiful. That pervert will sit on the bench. Unless he resigns, he or she will sit on a bench until they resign. They're nothing but a friggin' deviant in a black robe. Listen, people, Barack Hussein Obama appointed people like that. That was the core of Barack Hussein Obama. He was a lying, scheming, deceptive man. And he is still the same lying, scheming, deceptive man. He's been overseas with the same friggin' rot that he talked here. He's over in Europe and other places talking that friggin' rot, that sewage that comes off his face. Sunday morning, sun trying to peep out. They think they're talking. We got like 40% chance of rain here in southern West Virginia. Oh, we could use a little bit of rain. I wouldn't mind it at all. My heart, I've been watching some videos on YouTube of these people in Iran sitting under a brutal, radical Islamic leadership. And here these people over after sitting under the friggin' rot that comes down through that, they're dealing with floods. And homes and lives disrupted, people lost, these muddy torrents, man, running down. Where these floodwaters have coming out of the streams. They've had torrential rains, man, and from what I garner, there's probably still getting them. But they get on these streets that have a downhill run, and so help me, these vehicles in these streams look like they're going 35 mile an hour in water. The water carrying them 35 mile an hour. It's unreal, man. I'm serious. It's pitiful. It breaks my heart to see those people. You know, I don't agree with a lot of their thinking, and they don't agree with me, but, you know, I don't want to see those people die. I don't want to see those people cry. God, only a friggin' pervert would see people cry. They're out there. Oh, you got the perverts out there, man. And your liberals and socialists, you know, they'll tell you, well, I don't want to see people cry. That's the reason I do what I do. But the problem is they're sowing the seed that's going to bring the tears. And they're sowing the seed that's bringing a lot of the tears. They're bringing the chaos and anarchy themselves. But Iran's going through it, and that your radical Islamic leadership saying, well, the United States sanctions on us, or Donald Trump's, that's making harder on us to get in there and do our job. Well, it may be. It may be. I can understand it, that it could be causing problems getting to the help where it needs. But the thing about it is, those people have been getting billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they've sown into nuclear weapons. Instead of working with their country and getting their country to get up on an upright footing, an honorable, just footing, they sown into nuclear weapons. The same thing with North Korea. Over more nuclear testing stuff. The country's been under sanctions. Trump trying to get these people to put two friggin' decent brain cells together between their ears, and man, just to get them thinking right. And he, listen, man, you're hurting, but we can't give you funds as long as you're willing to do what you're doing. We're not going to help you, and it's understandable. Iran garnered billions upon billions of dollars from America and other countries, and their leadership, instead of doing things to build their people, they done things to build their military. Their radical Islamic trash. It's sad, people. It's really sad. It's really sad. But things are, whether you realize or not, things are the way they are because God said it would be that way. And not because He said it would be that way, but because of the rejection of Him, it would go that way. It would go that way because of the rejection of Him. Well, hope you have a nice day. Hope you find favor in God's eyes, and you go to bed tonight and you say, God, I've got peace with you because you made a way. You made a way for my heart to relent and repent of what I have been doing and thinking, and you have given me peace, and I have taken hold of your word, and I've come into agreement with you that you've told me, hey, you're upright with me, just walk with me, talk with me. I pray you find favor in God's eyes, and through Jesus Christ's blood you can. It is very well possible. It's happened to millions upon millions upon millions. And, well, for the last 2,000 years, I'd say it's probably happened to billions. They've proven it so in their own life. Have a good one.